That was more like it.
What'd you order, Dan?
3 cheesesteaks.
That's correct.
Man of my word, what can I say? Smacked me by almost 100. I had 3 Niners on my team. And the fact that my whole squad only put up 63 just shows how dominant this Eagles defense is. You heard of Death by Dynasty before? Oh yeah, look at that bounce.
Yo, she's big as fuck. Welcome into the Cheesesteak Lounge with Death by Dynasty. This is Cheesesteak Conversations.
What's up?
Okay, I would like to comment on the fact that I won last week.
You smacked me by almost 100.
Smacked you.
By almost
Absolutely
100.
smacked you. Where do you think you went wrong?
Drafting 3 Niners.
Yeah, Brandon.
Without a doubt.
Debo, all
Kittle.
those guys. Yep. I drafted Christian McCaffrey, which is literally
The only one who did
good.
Well,
him and Miles Sanders are literally the reason I won. Like, no one else actually did that good for me.
yeah. Well, Jalen Hurts. Well, you had your Higgins caught a touchdown.
I
I think.
I had Higgins. Higgins did good.
But yeah, for me, like Jalen Hurts didn't have his like best fantasy game ever, and I went a lot on AJ Brown. That was one of my top picks, and he just.
Say, would you care to comment?
That was I was off there.
He was gonna have the best fantasy performance of the week, basically.
I don't have anything to say besides that I was just wrong on that one. Now I'm gonna follow it up with saying I think he's gonna have a big Super Bowl performance, but from a fantasy perspective, I probably could not have made worse moves.
Yeah.
And even if Brock Purdy plays, and this is just me getting into it with the Eagles, I don't think it makes a difference. And you not taking that was great. That was when I look back.
-2 points. -2 points.
And someone commented on one of our YouTube videos. They go, "It doesn't Brock Purdy's gonna do better even if he has a bad game than whoever you draft." That wasn't true. Literally not having a player there would have been better than Brock Purdy.
Pacheco did have a great game, or at least a better game than Tyler Boyd. I think he.
Well, you should have taken Pacheco. That was at the end of the day, Pacheco is what you should have done.
I still made the right move over Purdy. I still made the right.
Oh,
move over
100%.
Purdy. Let's go. I mean, I took the whole entire Bengals receivers, all 3 of them.
And I mean, there wasn't a lot of offense that went around the entire league in general. So the fact that you had that was the game.
And it just feels so like. When I'm a rebuilding team in the dynasty,
you get your excitement there.
So good.
You gotta win.
I could get a win.
You gotta win that meant something. You got a cheesesteak out of it.
It meant something. I got Angelo's cheesesteak. Shout out. Angelo's Pizzeria, Angelo's South Philly, and also great cheesesteaks.
All right, let's see. First bite. Nah, that's a good steak. The bread's really good.
Let me tell you, I know my way around a cheesesteak, okay?
Jalen Hurts, that's what he's on.
Yeah,
that's what he said because he asked for like cheddar or something. And they're like, no, we don't do that. But they're like, we could do like Cooper Sharp.
Cooper Sharp.
He's like,
hell yeah.
Cool. So that's what he gets.
Super Sharp is a game changer in Philly sandwiches. It is the new wave. What are we talking about today? I don't know.
So on our way over, we saw a tweet about who is the best overall dynasty player, no matter what position. And we've done no research, and we're just going off rip and gonna eat a cheesesteak at the same time. So let's get it popping.
Best current dynasty players.
First thing that comes to my head when I think best overall dynasty player, which is kind of crazy, is not a quarterback.
Is not a quarterback.
It's not a quarterback.
It's Justin Jefferson.
I think he's up there for sure. No.
Okay.
I think he's definitely up there. I think the inconsistency might be what does it for me. You know what? I'm gonna go a slightly different route, and again, this is just off rip, and I'm gonna hate myself when I actually look at the options we have out there. I'm gonna say Jamar Chase just to go another receiver.
Oh, well, what we're gonna say?
What?
What were you gonna? Is that what you were gonna say?
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, okay.
But I don't I'm thinking because I feel like it has.
I'm all in Justin Jefferson over Jamar Chase. I'm all in on that take.
I feel like Jamar Chase is.
I just think Justin Jefferson's better. How do you say that Jamar Chase is consistent? He was injured this year. I don't know. He didn't have a great season.
I feel like I've just seen Justin Jefferson get locked up way too much.
I don't know.
Where he gets shut down in games. I feel like there's very few games where Jamar Chase does nothing.
Jamar Chase dropped that ball in the end zone in the playoff game.
Yeah. But again, football-wise, is different. Do I think...
Yeah. Okay.
Do I think Justin Jefferson has better hands or a more reliable receiver in general? Maybe. I think fantasy-wise, though, opportunity-wise, Jamar Chase might be that option, especially because there's other options out there. There's other options who you can't just all focus there, which, of course, like, you got Thielen in Minnesota, but, like, comparably to what you're seeing in Cincinnati.
Okay. All right, whatever, that's fair. All right, but who else is there? I mean, I guess Patrick Mahomes would always be, like, a go-to.
Funny thing is, you'll love this one. ETN's coming to my head right now as a player who I would say he's arguably in the top 5 right now.
He is.
Arguably, I think. Why am I blanking on his name right now?
For me, I honestly, and I love ETN. I have him on my dynasty team. Hope he's fucking great. He's a little below the top 5 for me. I hope he is. I hope he's up there.
What was Seattle? Their running back.
Kenneth Walker.
I think he's up there too. I think running backs are always, if you have that workhorse running back, they're always they're gonna be top 5.
If he can be like a Josh Jacobs like for the rest of his career, that'd be insane.
Yeah. Man. Top 5. I feel like an interesting one who is top 5 right now, maybe, but could drop out, who could go a little bit lower is Diggs. Speaking of receivers, his situation is real iffy right now. That's a questionable one.
He's older.
Like, what about Tyreek Hill? Where do you throw Tyreek at?
Man. He's older too. I think he's out of the top 5 for me. He's out of the top 5 for sure. But like, he's top 10 still, lower top 10. I would say like a 9 or 10, somewhere in that. Because he is great, but he is old. He's getting old, number one. His situation, his quarterback isn't great. Don't really know what's going to... Like, Tua, for me, isn't that great. I don't know. That offense, he'll probably be great next year. I don't know. He's just not... He's just, for dynasty-wise, I would never want to go out and get him for the long term in that sense. A win now, for sure.
I think I would agree with you in the sense that he is starting to drop back a little bit.
Who's like a young tight end that deserved to be like top 10?
No,
Any tight end.
I got you.
Travis Kelce is like in
Njoku. He's not top 10. This is completely going off topic for a second, but he's a player who completely changed my mind on him, where he has not been great the last few years, but this year played really, really well. And then I thought he was getting up there in age, similar to like Darren Waller. Excuse me.
He's young.
He's like 23, 24. I'm like,
young.
Man, he's as young as some of these rookies out here.
I'm all in.
He's great. He's on my
I'm
squad.
all in on the Cleveland players because I covered the Browns mostly in 2019.
That was Baker's time?
Baker. Odell.
Odell was there when you were covering? Oh, yeah, I remember you interviewed him.
Yeah, I talked to Odell a little bit here and there, you know.
Breece Hall, would you put him in the top 5 right now?
Yeah, probably, but we'll see how he comes back from injury.
No, question is,
I can't think right now.
who's the top 5 worst fantasy player to have on?
Worst fantasy player?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that like is somebody that people have commonly.
Yeah, just like your most. Let's change it. Who's your most, like, your least favorite? Like, there's some players who you're like, if you get an offer, you're like, I don't want to touch them. Like, just like off top of your head.
I
You're
mean,
like,
when you said like worst fantasy player that like people are gonna have on their like roster, like Juju comes to mind big time. Right?
That's a great one.
Like, he just pisses me off in everything he's ever done, honestly. So
The one that people are way too high on all the time, especially now, is Keenan Allen.
yeah, and now he's.
You cannot trust him to be healthy at any point anymore. It doesn't matter. He's in that Deshaun Jackson stage to where they'll come back and the biggest lock of all time is that they'll pull their hamstring within the first quarter, which is terrible because they're great receivers. Like Deshaun Jackson, besides the point, but
I just keep laughing at Deshaun Jackson. The fact that he played on an NFL team this season.
That's wild.
Is insane.
And then to think of that, he was on the Eagles sideline during the NFC Championship game, just chilling after
he's like, my career's over.
After he played in Baltimore for a hot second.
It took forever to figure out. I hope he knows his career's over. I don't know if he knows that yet.
I don't think so. But shout out Deshaun Jackson, one of my all-time favorite players. What's your? We know Angelo's. This is off topic. We know Angelo's is your top favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Top. Like, give me your runner-up, your next favorite, and then give me most overrated. But you can't say Pat's Regino's.
Okay. My runner-up, dude, I really like Joe's Steaks in Fishtown.
I don't think I've had Joe's either. Maybe once.
Joe's Steaks is actually nice. Like, probably underrated in my opinion. Because it's like right in Fishtown. Like, you go in, you sit down. It's like kind of looks like a diner in there. But that's why like it isn't like a normal cheesesteak place for Philly. But like, it is good cheesesteaks. They know what they're doing.
All right, most overrated.
Oh man, most overrated. I mean, there's one I hate because of Nick Roche.
Steve's?
Steve.
Steve's Princess Steaks.
I mean, I hate it because of him, but like to me they do it. To me they do it wrong still. It's like the chopped steak like in like cubes. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's like cubed, and they're doing it wrong. I need it to be like greasy and up in there.
I'm gonna go. My runner-up, Carmine's in Reading Terminal Market. If it was anywhere but in Reading Terminal Market, it would be number one. It's so good, but it's just number one. Takes forever to get a cheesesteak there. It's so hectic, and it's like finding it in Reading Terminal is a pain. And Reading Terminal, if you've never been, go. If you've never been, go for sure. But like, that's not a place you want to keep going back to over and over.
Great food there, all sorts of
amazing
different types
food.
of food.
But most overrated, I'm gonna go Tony Luke's.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tony Luke's, there's been multiple times where I get it and I'm like, this just isn't good. Like, I don't want to finish this cheesesteak. And sometimes it's all right. And I will say a lot of that's being skewed because on Temple's campus, we had a Tony Luke's that was...
Which isn't the original Tony
It's
Luke's.
not the original, but I've had the original Tony Luke's. Believe it or not, my first cheesesteak I've ever had in Philly was Tony Luke's after a Phillies game.
Bro.
Back in 2011, I want to say.
I'm pretty sure the original Tony Luke's isn't even called Tony Luke's anymore because there was like two brothers that had a dispute in the family, and now it's called like Nick's or something like that, or something. I don't even know.
No, it's like right off the highway. Like
Yeah,
right
isn't
on
that the original one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They changed their name. That's crazy.
I think they honestly did because like the one brother sued the other brother or some shit. Like I don't even fucking know. Can we get into the whole quarterback situation?
Mm-hmm.
Because listen,
Great point.
Right now it's desperation. We talked about this a little bit on the podcast. We're moving into a superflex this upcoming season, and there's some desperation for some teams, especially some teams that have been really good, teams that just won the championship maybe, and other teams who I believe, I don't know if the other one. I'm thinking of two teams. I'm thinking of him. And should I just name names out here, call people out right now? I'm thinking of Laughin right now. Joe Laffin's team. Both teams that have... Sam has shaky quarterbacks all around. Tom Brady just retired, so he has Deshaun Watson, I guess. Laughin has Patrick Mahomes, which is great, and that's it.
We're really going to see. I think both of them will be able to skate by for a little bit with the talent they have on their rosters, because I really do think if you have just studs on a team like a lot of these top teams have, you can get away with having a positional player sitting there.
They're deep.
So I will say I think that they'll be able to get away with it. But there is desperation, and you brought up a really good point. I won't take your point in that. If someone has a top 10 quarterback, they're not getting rid of them. So it's...
Exactly. That's what I was saying. They're not getting... Someone's asking for a top 10 quarterback. Here's the situation moving into a super flex. If you have a top 10 quarterback, you know how hard that is to get back to a top 10 quarterback. You're not getting rid of that top 10 quarterback. Quarterbacks are playing into their 40s now. Like, hang on to that top 10 quarterback.
And no matter what position you're in, you're rebuilding, you're competing, you're a year off, you're close. Like, you get a quarterback, you hold on to them. That's why I feel like me and you are, like, so mad at ourselves for getting rid of Justin Fields. But because even those, like, great quarterbacks who get drafted in dynasty leagues in the top 10, a lot of times don't pan out to be anything and are out of the league in 3-4 years. So when
NFL teams have trouble drafting quarterbacks. Like, it is so hard to draft quarterbacks.
Like Zach Wilson, if like you imagine like how I don't remember where he went in our draft, but it had to be like early on. Mm-hmm. You look at like even what's his name, Malik Willis.
Yeah.
He went in like first round. I know he went first round last year.
A million quarterbacks over the course of history, like that were gonna be good, like Sam Bradford,
Marcus Russell.
They're all backups now, so I don't know. Every single backup in the league, basically.
Marcus Mariota.
Yeah,
He's a starter who was. Yeah. I wanted the Eagles to sell their future for Marcus Mariota at one point. it's not worth it to give up how much. Like, you could get them giving up 4 or 5 first-round picks and some good players along with it, but that's not worth it. Like, everyone's valuing them really high, which they should, and it's valued so high that you can't trade for them. So like you're saying, you just it's almost impossible unless you're also including a borderline top 12 quarterback. Like if you're getting a top 12 quarterback, you got to be given 13, 14, or 15 there. And that person who's giving them up has to be like Nick. Nick has like 4 quarterbacks who could be a starter on a lot of the teams in this league. So he can maybe take a little bit of a step back to gain a pick or something.
For Sam's team, he has amazing win-now players. No contender is trading a top 10 quarterback. There's nothing on his team that I, as a rebuilder, want. I'll say it right now. There's some things maybe here and there. I don't want to close the door on you, Sam, but...
I don't know. My mindset is always how, like we were saying in the car, we like being the Howie Roseman GMs, like turning around real quick. I'm always like looking for that move that can just like flip it that. And sometimes it's for the worse, sometimes it's for the better. But I'm always looking for that move that can just like be a quick turnaround into each year. So I'll never close the door on like a veteran player, because if I can get that one stud to come in and be a beast, then I'll try to build my team around them. And I'll give up picks that I thought I was going to pick and just hold on to maybe this year's picks, but trade away 25, 24 to just go, okay, screw it, I'm going all in now. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But it's fun. And that's what fantasy is all about, having fun.
To make a statement as the GM of Bye Week and not as Death by Dynasty, this is my statement as a GM. We are always looking to improve. For now and for the future. Thank you. Okay.
Back to Death by Dynasty,
Back
Dan.
to Death by Dynasty. But like even so, I'll keep my options open for that, but I still am much more concerned about my future when I need to be concerned about my future. Like, I will keep my options open as far as trying to get better, but it has messed me up in the past. Making the wrong trades, trading away young guys that are going to help you with 2-3 years down the road.
I will say I do get bored, and I just make trades because I'm bored. And it's fun to do. It gives you new players to look into. So if you're looking for things not to do, I'd recommend not trading because you're bored. But if you're just looking to have some fun, trade because you're bored. Throw some players around. Sometimes it's fun. You just get into it, and trades materialize out of nowhere. Sometimes they're great. Sometimes they're not. But I would always say, if you never trade, try it. It's so fun. It's probably the most fun thing in fantasy.
God,
I will say I love our Dynasty League more than anything. It's great. But there needs to be more trades. There's like 4 or 5 people who trade. Maybe 4 or 5. There are other ones. It's just you can't even send offers out there, and that's no knock on them. I think it's you like your players on your team, but it drives me crazy because it just limits the amount of options and like the amount of fun you could be having just being able to like move assets around. And I guarantee you're nervous about trading that player you've been holding on to forever. Don't be. You're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
You're gonna make a bad trade. You're gonna get trades that were really bad for the other person that worked out great for you.
Is also bad for your team, probably. So.
And it's very few people in fantasy, because I feel like Dynasty is a relatively new thing. Dynasty's a very relatively new thing to where not a lot of people know what it's going to look like in 10 years if you don't make these trades and you don't tank like we said before. If you don't tank, if you don't try and rebuild and you try to do these things, it could very well come in like 7 years down the road in your Dynasty League that you're sitting there with just like 10 35-year-olds and just being like, what do I do now? And then you're just waiting 5 years to be relevant.
I mean, I do think that that's how some teams are. Laughing and Sam's team are almost at that point right now.
We'll have to see.
Like,
we gotta get Laughing on the show. We're pronouncing it wrong. We're pronouncing it wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe we're pronouncing it right, and he just doesn't know how to pronounce his own name.
I think that's the case. I think we should continue. Just kidding. All respect.
Laughing. Did I say it right now?
I don't know, to be honest.
All right.
All respect.
Well, Joe.
Joe 2. Joe squared.
Joe 2. And he needs a quarterback too. And I'm also, like, I don't know, his team, like, Sam doesn't have first-round picks. So that's, like, tough going for him.
Not a lot of teams do. I go through teams just looking to, like, try and see what... And I'm like, you don't have anything for the future. It's like, yeah, you have a good squad. You might make the playoffs. But I'm like, there's no picks going around. Like... I feel like 4 people are just stockpiled.
For the draft. People aren't getting excited for the draft.
Well, that's one thing. I'll be honest. I've never been excited for the draft because I never had first round picks. Because for a while I would trade them away because I did win a championship. So I was in that position where I was trying to win now. But very quickly, you saw I have 9 or 10 first round picks over the next 3 years.
What the fuck? 9 or 10 first round? 9 or 10?
I want to say 7 or 8 at least. I have 3 this year.
You're like 3, 3, and 3 or something.
I think it's 3, 2, 3. So I have 8, and then I have like 6 second-round picks. So I have so many. I have so many picks.
Yes, because at a point, like, you're drafting players now. Maybe draft players next year, and then at that point, you're ready.
Is my phone over here? I need to be accurate with this number.
And like, I'm not saying always hang on to those for trading purposes. Like, eventually you're going to trade those first-round picks. But like,
let's see what I got here.
Right now, you're set up in a spot to go get some guys in the draft, too.
And I've had offers come in for these picks that I've almost done. And I felt good almost doing them, too, because... Error loading. What's up? I need to connect to the Wi-Fi. I think I am. Oh, it's off. Here we go. I have one... What is this?
Not what you thought.
No, where are 2 of my first-round picks from this year? I had 3.
From this year? Did you trade them?
I had to trade out there. Oh, no, here they are. Whew, I got nervous. I mean, did that trade go through? That was going to be a blockbuster. Wow. Okay.
What was it? What was it?
No comment.
You were going... I know
no
you were
comment.
Going for. And then Tyreek Hill.
No comment.
Tyreek Hill. He was going for Tyreek Hill.
All right. So I got 1-4, 1-5, 1-11 this year. Mm-hmm. Then 2024, I have 2 firsts and 1, 2, 3 seconds. And then in 2025, I have 2 firsts. So 2, 2, 3. So I have 7. I have 7 firsts, and then I have 2 seconds in 2025.
Trade me one of those 2024 seconds.
But I will say I don't know much about college football, so I'm really scared. That's why I trade a lot of my picks too. I will say I think I'm really good at evaluating NFL talent. I'm not the best at evaluating college talent, so that's another reason why I tend to trade my picks away in the past. But I have been doing more research, and I use all the other great dynasty podcasts out there too, because we're not the only one. There's other great resources, but I will say they're not
as cool.
They're not as cool and not as entertaining. They're so boring.
Well, I had 4 first-round picks 2 years ago, and I only have 2 of those.
I've cashed, though, on some of mine.
First-rounders on my team now. But I'm happy about those 2. Kyle Pitts and ETN. So
those are good ones. All mine were, like, late sleepers who had, like, 1 or 2 good years, like James Robinson, Chase Claypool.
I draft...
I think I got a couple more.
I draft good
players.
Was that it? I feel like I draft good players.
Oh, Watson.
I feel like I don't necessarily evaluate...
Last year, Christian Watson, Rashad White, those are 2 good ones for me.
Like, trade-wise. I don't do all the right things trade-wise. But I honestly have drafted well.
And, you know, this is another really good point for dynasty players. You just got to know your strengths, know your weaknesses. Play to your strengths, play away from your weaknesses, but make your weaknesses stronger.
You want Deontay Foreman?
No.
For a 2024 second?
Maybe.
Hey, we got something going.
Maybe we'll see. I have Chuba Hubbard. I have Chuba Hubbard already, so then I go back and forth like, well, I already have one of the running backs, but who knows who will be on the team even?
I think a starting running back in the NFL.
Oh yeah.
No matter what, very valuable.
Oh yeah, and he's
I think that he's the Panthers running back.
I think so too. Yeah. I think so too. That's not. We may have to revisit that.
Splitting at least a very big part of that backfield.
Let's revisit that next episode.
All right. We'll revisit the next episode.
We'll put a bookmark in it.
Listen, Cheesesteak Conversations is all about, we're just talking about random shit.
Spur of the moment. This is not, we usually research, we prepare.
Yeah, we usually prepare our shit, but...
That's not what cheesesteaks are about. Cheesesteaks are about spontaneity.
Let's
all right.
Go.
Well, I think that's enough for cheesesteak talk.
Yeah, I would say...
that was a great cheesesteak conversation.
Normal Death by Dynasty, probably. But this is fun, too, but... you'll see all our content if you go follow us, but yeah, we're gonna get into it with like off-season moves that you should make, and with a draft coming up. God, I can't wait till April gets here.
Yep, we're getting into it.
I'm waiting on April. I'm waiting on the NFL draft because nobody's making trades right now until that shit happens.
And I feel like for me, like, and all of us, we're like so locked into the Eagles that like I'm not even looking at college players in the draft because I'm so locked in on the Super Bowl still. Once that's over though, I feel like that's when we'll start hitting the mocks, and that's when we're really gonna start getting into it. So all of you out there who are waiting for us to talk about the draft and stuff, we'll get there, but gotta have some fun first.
All right, fair enough. Shout out.
Till next time.
From the Cheesesteak Lounge. Peace.